Hey everyone, give me a quick second here. All right, hello, welcome to the weekly one. Oh, my audio is messed up. Let me turn up my sound. Yeah, my voice is going to get louder. Okay, there we are. All right, welcome everyone to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm DDO's community manager, Cordovan, and I'll be with you for the next hour doing some Q&A. I'm heading to Lamania. We're going to go through the release notes, show off some stuff, and just generally be open to your questions here today rather than playing on the live game worlds. So first off, let me do the thing I looked up ahead of time, which is what the bonus is. So for those of you who kind of are only here because you want to know what the bonus is for next week, it's a buddy boost. That would be a 5% XP for every member in your party or raid group other than yourself, kicking off late Thursday morning Eastern time, running through Sunday. Plus side, we're having a buddy boost during Valentine's Day. Downside, we're having a buddy boost during Valentine's Day. Depends a lot as to kind of how much you are doing for Valentine's Day and how your significant other feels about playing DDO, perhaps. but hey, there we are. So let's get to it. Huh? So that's the buddy boost. That's the bonus, is the buddy boost this weekend. The other big thing we have going on is we are doing our first preview of the new raid and a whole bunch of balance and spell and other changes here that we're doing ahead of a really just our next release. So let me go quick check chat to see how things are going. I've been nerfed? I don't think so. Level drain incoming. No. No, but I think I know what you're talking about. So let's get into some of that stuff. Okay, so the first thing to know is that we have a big preview right now on Lamania, and tonight, as of the time of recording, we have got a dev event that's going to be taking place from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. In particular, we are going to be going through, watching you play the new raid. If you're interested, we'll be open to some Q&A about the balance changes here that we'll be getting into in a little bit. And that's really the focus of this first preview. We will be doing another preview after this based on what's going on. Sorry you broke Argo. Hopefully that's not true. We did have an issue on Argo yester Monday, I think, right? Yester Monday? Anyway, so yeah, there was an issue on where Argo crashed on... Actually, wait a second. That was late Sunday night, wasn't it? What day is it now? Anyway, so we had to do some work on Argo. We're looking into what happened. As far as we can tell, it was just some kind of weird one-off hardware issue involving our guild manager program that basically caused an out-of-memory error. As to why that happened, we're just looking into it, but I don't know. But that's really what happened. Right? So Argo should just be a one-off there from the issues over the weekend. All right, so let me go through the release notes. So first off, we have got the new raid. That is the Dragon and the Demigod. You know, I was afraid by kind of hyping it up a little bit earlier that you know, people who disagree with my emotional beliefs about the new raid would be disappointed, and so hopefully that didn't happen. But anyway, what was the thing about the raid that I talked about that the one time? Our new raid is a musical. And I don't mean music playing in the background, but I mean like musical theater presentation, like Book of Mormon or Hamilton style raid, which, as far as I'm aware, maybe I'm wrong, I've done the Google searching and I have not been able to find any other kind of MMO doing something like this. So, although I hear WoW has like some music like it, but not quite like this. So anyway, our new raid is getting its first preview. It is in a pretty rough state. This is a very early preview. We don't have the what they call the deco in the raid space. So the raid space looks kind of open and empty right now. Some of the characters don't have special attacks. Drama sections aren't animating yet. Sound on focus isn't working. Teleporting is messing things up, and you have to be level 30 to even enter the thing. So clearly this is a first preview of our new raid. And I want to thank a couple of people. One, the raid music itself was composed by Bill Champagne, with some arrangement help by one of our DDO developers named Artemis. On top of that, I understand Artemis took a lead role in writing the lyrics to the new raids. So I want to give a shout out to Artemis and Bill Champagne, our in-house composer, for really doing something different. You know, the idea of this kind of raid has been kicking around inside the office for a while. And similar to Cloaks and a few other things, we finally were able to make it happen. So that's what's up. All right. Anyway, so I'm not gonna. I'll probably just pop into the raid space. You know what? Let's do that real now. Let's do that real now. Can you tell I haven't had my coffee yet? Alright. First thing I need to do is get myself some clothes on. I rolled up a quick character here. Just to kind of show some things off. There we go. I'll use my Ravenloft gear. That'll work. There we go. Good enough. So this one in particular is relevant to the ambient sound channel. So I'm going to turn up the music and ambient sound slightly and head into the raid space, I believe. Yeah, there we go. And I'm not going to do too much of a spoiler here. I'm just going to pop into the very start so you can kind of get a sense of what's going on here. Okay, yeah, I do have the good.
Valley of the door to Faraway. Ahead, Hawthorne and Hearsome argue from the relative safety of their respective circles of power.
So as you can see, this is a very open raid space right now. That's what we mean about it missing its deco. This is going to be getting a little. It'll look pretty different, I think, by the time the raid gets to the live game worlds.
The barrier in the southeast fades.
That's the Hawthorne I once adored. Such a fire within those branches. And like any true hero, I won't be told what's best for my home. Yes, I go to strike down any villain who stands in my way. My song will save the cave. Let's begin this final act where I show you it's doubtless fact that tearing down the Ladrin walls will usher freedom for us all. Nature's beauty and its truth, of course, informed by my worldview. You'll see those pesky elves can't stay. I will reshape our realm today. But what would you know of the truth? Your love that withered like your roof. Your fear how much my power grew. That's the core of our dispute.
For centuries, you haven't changed, although I wish you would. For all the power you have gained that you won't use for good. You think they left for fear of truth? Sorry, I disagree. My reason was you've always loved yourself and never me.
And that is where I'm going to cut it off in terms of the preview. So I'm no more spoilery than that. That's where we are. You could see more of it if you want to be spoiled further over on Lamania right now. All right. Who did the overlay beholder? That was one of our artists, actually. Who does a lot of our kind of video and related work. All right. Oh no, Cordo has been nerfed, have I? No, I haven't. Yeah, not that I... Well, yes I have, because I play a lot of clerics, but we're going to get into that here in just a second. All right. When does the anniversary event start? Stay tuned. The current thinking, the current plan is that it will not be next week, but probably the week after, roughly targeting middle of the week of the week prior to our anniversary. So that would be probably Wednesday the 24th. Could change. Probably Wednesday the 24th, as long as things fall together as they are intended to. All right, let me, though, move on to some of the other release notes here so that we can kind of keep going. So, new raid loot. You can take a look at all this new raid loot if you want to. I'm not really going too much into raid loot here. It's, you know, nobody wants me to read a whole list of raid items, but you probably want to see the list of raid items. So let's take a look at that. We got like a new trinket, raid trinket. As you can see, it'll have one of a number of kind of properties associated with it. We got trinklets. We got necklaces. This is why I need my coffee, people. This is why I need my coffee. Got a bunch of weapons here. And we have some new augments. And you can take a look at that over on the forums, should you wish. All right, the next one I'm going to bring up, we're going to start getting a little crunchier here. This is one of the more controversial changes that we have coming in. And so I figured it's worth talking a little bit about what's going on and help some folks understand, because I've been seeing some people talk on the forums and social media about it. So let's get into a little bit about this. So right now our nukers are pretty strong, as people are well aware. We do have two outliers, particularly fire sorks and alchemists. That also is pretty widely understood. There are several factors, the largest basically being their top-end spells, Multivial and Meteor Swarm, were kind of ridiculous due to their damage dice, low cooldown, boosters to levels, etc. So those have been brought in line pretty significantly here for the next thing. On the other side of the spectrum, we are raising up a whole bunch of spells, a ton of offensive spell casting spells are going to be getting a damage die increase. This should help bring up Wizard and Sorks. We're fixing a key bug with Druid to allow Earthquake to scale its duration in Reaper. We also are targeting some underutilized spell books like Artificer by giving them access to some new offensive spells, and we do have plans for certain enhancement trees in a later post that will address some concerns with Spellsinger and Arcanotechnician specifically. We expect the changes to boost the viability of Divine, Druid, Bardic, and Artificer offensive spellcasters across all levels of play, with one big nerf, and that is what is being discussed pretty heavily on the forums that I'll get to in just a second. So, we're reducing the cooldown for Iceberg, Thunderstroke, Acid Well, and then we're making the changes to Multivial and Meteor Swarm. We're upping the damage dice for Static Shock, Lightning Sphere. Well, actually, Lightning Sphere is being changed to 1d6. Static Shock's being increased. Elemental Prod being reworked. It'll take 1d6 per caster level in 2 of the 3 elements chosen randomly. Elementals will be dazed. Blast Rod's getting its damage dice upped. Same with Lightning Bolts, Prismatic Strikes. Ray Spell. Enemy takes 1d6 per caster level in 2 of 3 elements chosen randomly each time. That's Prismatic Strike. He'll also get some CC effects from the original Prismatic Strike. And then Tactical Detonation is having its damage dice changed downward to 1d6 plus 3 per caster level for both fire and its force damage. We're up on the damage for Sonic Blast, Sound Burst, Shout, Greater Shout. I think Horn of Thunder, I can't remember if that's increase or not. On the Cleric side, Nimbus of Light. Inflict Wounds, Chill Touch, Deific Vengeance, Inflict Moderate, Searing Light, Inflict Serious, Sunbolt, Chaos Hammer, Inflict Critical, Flame Strike, Slay Living, Comet Fall Destruction, and Firestorm are getting their damage dice changed. On the Druid side, we got Produce Flame, Splinter Bolt, Salt Ray, Call Lightning, Fire Seeds, Word of Balance, Sunbeam, Sunburst, and Ice Flowers. The Inflict Wounds mass spells will now use new versions of their dice, per the above. Additionally, Inflict Wounds spells will only use this new dice against enemies. They will not adjust potential self-healing for undead players. The Druid spells Call Lightning Storm and Storm of Vengeance will use the new Call Lightning damage dice. Artificer is getting access to the level 1 Sorc Wiz spells Firebolt, Shocking Bolt. They now have access to Chain Lightning at level 6. Admixture spells are now properly restricted with Epic Defensive Fighting, and all lingering spells now correctly calculate their duration in Reaper and obey the 6-second floor. That means spells like Earthquake will now function even in Reaper 10, where previously they ended almost as soon as they were cast. So that's where we are on the spell changes. Let me take a quick look at chat. It is a significant change for some elemental casters. Growler, you joke. But there's stuff in there. Not that, but other stuff. The male is... I don't know why I've had such a hard time with his name. Hopefully it'll come to me. I'm gonna do a search while I look through chat. This is bothering me very deeply that I can't think of the poor soul's name. It's a very popular voice actor. Fortunately, yes, Scott McNeil, thank you. Thank you myself for sending a notification to myself in 2018 about the voiceover section with Scott McNeil. Scott McNeil is the lead singer of that, and he is a huge voice actor that has done a lot of stuff. Let me even see what he's all done. Australian-born Canadian voice actor. He is in Dragon Ball Z, Beast Wars, Transformers, X-Men, Inuyasha, Full Metal Alchemist, what? Oh. First role was providing voice work on New Adventures of He-Man, did Highlander, Scooby-Doo 2, Care Bears, in addition to a huge amount of work on DDO over the years. He is one of our regulars, as it were, Scott McNeil. So the person is very, very cool and has done a ton of stuff. Okay. I have talked about the balance changes for spells, and let me go through our chat. We do not have plans to do another season pass. Sorry, Galen on Facebook, that's not something we have any plans to do in the future. Sorry. Pro, more power to weak casters that were useless in Epic. Con, turning some items useless. Con, nerfing classes working, especially the Fire Sork, who was never a first-time choice for meta. These changes are not about that in particular, although I hear you. So the main driver of this change isn't in the notes yet, so let me actually get to it before I talk about this. It's not in here either, but where am I seeing it? Okay, well, you know what? Let me look elsewhere on this. So if something has an enhancement bonus to spell power, it is going to be changed. And let me quick... I want to get the release note. Now I'm not seeing it here, so... Enhanced spell power from all sources is now typed as equipment spell power. Thank you for giving me the patience to, or having patience while I look that up. Enhanced spell power from all sources is now typed as equipment spell power. All sources is really about two sets of items. The Ravenloft belts and a bugged legendary green steel item. So, when we came out with Ravenloft, we were pretty upfront back then that we didn't know if we were going to... We had some real concerns about allowing those belts to have enhanced spell power. And back then I'd said we were probably going to have to make some adjustments downward for it. But then we just kind of let it sit for a little bit, and people got pretty used to it. So... most of these spell power changes will have no impact on anyone who does not use this bugged legendary green steel item and the Ravenloft belts. However, if you do use those two things, then it's a very significant change to your total spell power calculation. And that is something that we're seeing a lot of feedback on Lamania here about, oh my gosh, that's like a huge amount, right? We are looking at that feedback. We're still pretty comfortable with our decision-making here, but at the same time, we're certainly open to what you would like to let us know about it. But that is a pretty big change. We never should have released those belts with that kind of power there. And unfortunately, when we make that kind of mistake, that doesn't mean we can't ever correct it. And unfortunately, it was a big mistake that we are now correcting. Will there be any interviews on DDO's birthday? I'm guessing not because of COVID. Well, I can definitely say that I don't have plans to do, let's say, a big 12-hour stream on Sunday, February 28th. I would love to do something perhaps that Friday the 26th, though. That's a good call. We should see about maybe seeing if we can bring on a few people virtually to welcome everyone with a stream there, but... Now I'm trying to go back to my Facebook comments. Here we go. Does this include shroud stuff? Yes, it is what we've said there, which is that you know, anything with that bonus is being retyped. But really, this is about the Ravenloft belts and those green steel things. So. We will not be distributing a Heart of Wood for people who use the belts, no. Just admit it is a massive nerf. Yes. I mean, massive is a big word, but yes. I mean, we were very upfront and clear about that this is a pretty significant drop in the total spell power calculation from people who have those items. Yes. No hiding here. We've been saying we wanted to do this for what, at least a couple of years now, and so now we're doing it. Will the raid song be uploaded to YouTube? So interesting you mentioned that, Jack. I need to over on YouTube. I need to check with Bill and crew to see how I would do that. There's some kind of, you know, it's. There are parts of the song that kind of change based on what's going on in that song. I'm not sure there's a default version of the song, so to speak. But if there is, then yes. Will Epic Destiny work be done soon? Soon is a loaded word. Will it be done in 2021? Yes. That is the plan. That is our intention. Alright, so let me actually go back with some of the combat style changes. I mean, I know that people are... we've had a lot of feedback on the forums and elsewhere about the spell power change. But I think I've just said what we can say about it, which is, yeah, we know. We've been telling you we want to do this for quite some time now. Clearly it's been OP, which is, you know, no one's disputing that really. And we needed to do something about it. The mistake is ultimately that we didn't do it. We let these belts get released in that way to begin with. And that's on us. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do something about it in the future. So we're looking at the spread popularity and usability of combat styles. We wanted to boost DPS and versatility of single weapon fighting, expand its usage outwards to better cater to hybrid builds, tone down DPS of two-handed fighting slightly, while leaving AoE capabilities top tier, and looking at DPS two-weapon fighting. I'll let you read that. There's a new single-weapon fighting feat, Offhand Versatility. It'll, with your offhand item, will modify your main hand, rune arms, orbs. When you Vorpal Strike, your next spell automatically crits. 20-second internal cooldown, so you can't do it more than once per 20 seconds. That could be pretty big there. So, I look forward to seeing what people can do about that. Fighters can take this feat. Also, we have Perfect Single Weapon Fighting. Increases your ability score modifier to damage by 25%. Gives you 10 More melee power, two-handed fighting, improved two-handed fighting, greater two-handed fighting, increase ability score modifier to damage by 25% rather than 50%. Ultimately, it's not a 25% reduction because it's kind of a percentage of a percentage. It is, however, a decrease in the ability score modifier to your damage. Perfect two-handed fighting will increase your ability score modifier to damage by 25%. Natural fighting will increase your ability score modifier to 25% while in bear or dire bear form. Perfect natural fighting. When you're in bear form, two-handed will increase your ability mod by 0.25, 25%. Your bear form's bonus to AC increased by 5%. If in wolf form, you get a 15% competence bonus to hit points, max, and 2d6 sneak attack. We have a new feat called Greater Shield Mastery, which will give you 10 physical resistance when using a buckler or small, shield 15 with large, 20 with taller. Your double strike chance while using a shield increased by 2% to 10%. Combat style bonus to melee power increased by 4 to 10. These bonuses do not stack with previous feats, so this is a net gain of 5 PRR with each type of shield. Fighters can take it. Also, Perfect Shield Mastery. You are the paragon of shield usage, able to effectively leverage all types of shields. Your shield gains +1 weapon, and you get a 20% shield armor class boost and 5 PRR. Two-weapon fighting is getting a change. In particular, we are getting rid of two-weapon blocking. Two-weapon blocking is being removed from the game and rolled into two-weapon defense. Frankly, not many people have been taking it ever, and it was a desperate need of some work. So two-weapon defense will now grant everything two-weapon blocking did, as well as its original +1 AC and 5 PRR. They also give you a 10 MRR cap. What do you do if you have two-weapon blocking on your character? It's going to version. So you'll get two-weapon defense instead. And if you already have two-weapon blocking and two-weapon defense, I need to look up what's going to happen. But my understanding is no one's going to be losing a feat choice when we do this work. Shield Mastery feats now contribute to epic defensive fighting. So then finally I want to go through our enhancement boosts here a little bit. No. That's not what I wanted. Let's see if I can fix that. For some reason this is being difficult. You know what? I'm just going to have to call it up on my screen and change this because this is not working. Sorry about that. Alright. I don't know why that one thread in particular doesn't want to display for me, but it doesn't want to display for me, so fine. I'm not going to mess with it live on the air. The buffs we've done to enhancement trees were centered around two goals: to boost up spellcasting ability for Bard and Artificer, and equalize the disparity between Vanguard's Tier 5 selection versus Knight of the Chalice and or Kensai. Enhanced spell power causes several... Oh, this is where it is! Enhanced spell power causes several significant long-term gearing problems for both the casters who had elements represented and the casters who did not. Either you had the element which forced you to always wear the belt, or you did not and you were left behind by a large group of power, or a large margin of power. This change removes that disparity between elemental types of offensive and defensive casting. It was necessary for us to do the offensive spell pass we're doing for this update. Additionally, it's going to allow us to do better balance in both heroic and epic, because we no longer have two sets of things to balance against, those with the belts and those without the belts. Vanguard The changes to Shifter, primarily bug fixes. For Vanguard, Paladin and Fighter, Shield to the face, merge into Armored Strength. Disorienting Smash now applies 1d4 stacks of vulnerability instead of 1. Tier 5, Shield is Specialization 5 plus 3 to hit armor class when using a shield. Tier 5, Brutal Impact, plus 1 crit damage multiplier on 1920. Arcanotechnician Tree, the Tier 5 Charge Recoil. Rune Arm shots will now strip electric immunity for 10 seconds. In Spellsinger at the Bard, Advanced Magical and Advanced Musical Studies have been merged and condensed into one 2-action point single rank enhancement named Advanced Musical Studies. Gives you 200 spell points, plus 3 Bard songs, and will add Hold Monster Mass to your spellbook at level 5. Horn of Thunder's SLA is no longer a multi-selector. Shifter and Razor Claw, the racial trees, Beast Tide, Wild Hunt, Razor Claw, Shift feats will now state their effects block things that cannot be used while raging. Empowered by Nature and Destructive Shifting will grant you are immune to fatigue, including fatigue from shifting. The idea is to get rid of that shifting fatigue by allowing you to spend into it. Threatening Shift will grant 10 PRR, and then True Hunter will list its freedom of movement effect and no longer list its non-existent immunity to petrification. Yeah. And this is where that line on enhanced spell power came from. So this is on the Lamania notes. What we'll end up doing is certainly move that into a much more prominent and findable place for people, and better explain that this is a total spell power calculation related to a couple of pieces of clearly overpowered equipment. Alright. There's actually a skill called Shield to the Face? Yes. Yeah, serious game. I have to admit, I'm a big two-handed fighter user, and so some of that discussion on two-handed fighting made me go, oh. But overall, I have been assured, and in my own experiences, has proven it out as well, that it is an adjustment downwards, but two-handed fighting is going to be okay. All right. What is the latest on the level cap increase? We have not yet announced any plans to do a level cap increase. That's something we had announced in the past that we were looking at. Clearly our plans shifted since then. As soon as we have more to pass along about the when and where on that, we will let you know. I'm sure we'll do it at some point. I just don't know when. So, to Lupito on YouTube's point about removing the belts, fine, we remove the belts, but we should see how it affects other classes. Yes, absolutely. So one of the main takeaways is that clearly the belts were overpowered. Pretty much everyone agrees on that. And if by removing those belts, it puts our balance out of whack, then what we would need to do is correct that balance by doing something other than returning the clearly overpowered belts. So, for example, I guess more colloquially, if the issue is the belt rather than the cleric, then we need to fix the cleric. Or if the cleric's bad because they don't have the belt, then we need to fix the cleric, not the belt. And that's what we ultimately need to do here. So. A universal bow tree to boost bows. We are going to be doing that without a universal tree. Bows are going to be getting a pretty significant rework here in the future. And we'll have a lot more to say about that in the future. The frozen keys. So, why are frozen keys no longer going into bags seems random and goofy. So, the purpose of that change is because when people were acquiring and or picking up frozen keys from the DDO store or acquiring them in game, which is what most people were doing, right? They would go into the bags, but it is not possible for the Snow Peaks NPC to recognize that you have a key in your bag. So we had, it is not an exaggeration to say, thousands of tickets to our customer support team saying, where's my stuff that I paid for? And, or earned in game. And we had to, it was a big burden on CS to have to tell those thousands of tickets that it's in your bag. You got to take it out of the bag in order to talk to the NPC. And since it's not possible for us to make it so that the NPC can interact with the frozen key in a bag, we had to remove the ability of the frozen keys to go into the bag. I don't personally know, Nick on Facebook, what the new two-weapon fighting mechanic means in terms of the total possible cap of MRR for Monk. Someone who's more familiar with the crunchiness of Monks is going to have to get into that. If we are nerfing the belts, why do we also need to nerf the caster spells and multi-vial? Because they both needed to be done. Let me try to see if I can find your question there, Michael, on Facebook. Are some of the raid items possibly coming that didn't make the update in the future? I know a lot of people were looking forward to the Kopesh and Longbow for... I really... I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. I just need my memory jogged, I guess, on that. I guess in a wider sense, any itemization that you see on Lamania should not be considered coming to the game until it comes to the game. Because Lamania is meant to be a preview where... Lamania is meant to be a preview where things will change over time. So, for example, if we debut an item, we may have to change that item or go a different direction entirely by the time it goes live. I'm not sure what you mean, Mul Havoc. We've removed all the good raid weapons? What do you mean? Okay. Which raid items are you talking about? There is no Feywild raid yet. So there is no such thing as a raid list for the new raid. There's a possible preview list, but I guess I'm not sure what you mean by raid items being removed. We just debuted them yesterday on the forums, and the list is the list that we're currently considering. Compare the debut list of raid weapons to the current preview. What debut list of raid weapons? What are you talking about? There is no debut list of raid weapons, other than what was given yesterday, that I'm aware of. And that has not changed. that I'm aware of. Will the keys still be able to go into shared bank crafting storage? Good question. I don't know. I'm going to say probably not. But let me double check on that. Oh, okay. So people are saying that some early in development raid items somehow slipped into a U48 early Lamania preview, but oh man, none of that stuff should have been considered a raid list. So if you saw anything about raid items, there was no raid at that time. So any assertion that that would be a raid item is speculative at best, even if it was us saying it. So, okay. Oh, it's posted as raid. So clearly I missed a memo somewhere that we did some kind of raid loot preview before we even had a raid loot list. I'm not quite sure how we did that or why we did that on Lamania. But that's... I'll have to go back and see what the heck happened there, because that doesn't make any sense. I don't know why we would have done that. So the devs posting raid loot is speculative. Yes. Everything seen on Lamania can and will change and should not be construed as a promise of what will happen, only a suggestion about what might. Granted, we often then bring all that stuff to the live worlds, but Lamania is not and never will be set in stone. And anyone who sees something on Lamania and considers it a promise should probably not be on Lamania. Matty6, over on Twitch. Clearly one of the developers did post that list and ask for feedback. I was not a part of that process. So I need to get up to speed on that. I don't know what was going on there. Raider reward box for the anniversary? If you like the Raiders reward box, I think you're going to like this year's gift. We'll see. All right. Man, it's 12:54, but I think I'm out of questions. And I think I'm out of Growler, I don't know what you're talking about, but I will look into that moderation question you have. I'm just not going to deal with it live on the air. I have not mentioned the word warlock all day today. Please, can I give a hint about how I think warlocks will be affected by this update? No. What I would prefer that you do is you go into Lamania. Clearly you have a passion for warlocks. That's why we're doing this dev event tonight. So we have a developer event from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on Lamania. A great chance to speak directly to the developers doing the work. They're going to be in a much better position to more eloquently go into what this will mean for warlocks. Where can you find the latest patch notes? You only see last week's on the release notes public notice board. Did we even have release notes this week? I don't think we did, right? But if we had release notes this week, they would be found in the release notes section of DDO.com. If you go to the game tab, there's a drop down that says release notes. That's got all the release notes, going back all the way to Module 1. Module 0, I guess, actually. So, there we go. I did do the weekend bonus. We have got a Buddy Boost weekend that's going to be happening. This 5% XP for every member in your party or raid group other than yourself. Kicks off tomorrow, late morning Eastern Time, and runs through technically Sunday. But actually, now that I'm saying that, Monday is President's Day, and that's a U.S. holiday. And I don't think we're going to be turning it off on Monday, so I bet it's actually through Monday. But let me double check on that. Okay, so Lupito, if we did an early raid preview of loot, clearly that shouldn't be considered set in stone. Additionally, if we remove some raid items from that preview, then it was probably just based on either feedback or internal or external that those items should be removed. So I don't unfortunately know the story to the granularity that you'd like me to address it, and I apologize for that. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. A piece of text on a forum post should not be indicative of a set-in-stone promise for a raid that hasn't even begun development. Alright. Yeah, no release notes this week, because the only thing we did was an internal thing related to messaging that the engineering team receives when certain things happen in the game environment related to hardware stability. Producer's letter, yeah. So I've seen the producer's letter making its way around the office. The goal is to get that out in time for the anniversary still. Let's see. But that's where we are on the producer's letter. Alright, I'm going to wrap up the show then. This was just me hanging around and talking. That's how it goes sometimes. So thanks very much for being here. I'll see you next week. Actually, I'll see you tonight because we're going to be on that Lamania preview. 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, our Lamania public preview server. You can go to the DDO forums if you need to download Lamania this afternoon to get ready for it. Please do show up, please do provide your feedback, and please do check out the raid in particular if you would be willing to, and give Torque your opinions on it. Alright, and that's going to do it then with the weekly Wednesday Lunchtime live stream. Thanks very much for being here, and I will see you next week.